Can Khamzat Chimaev even go 5 rounds? Okay, can he go 5 rounds? Right, that is a real question.
Chimaev gasses out. And to say that Chimaev gasses is a fair observation.
Khamzat is strong, but bro, that Burns fight like showed a lot.
A lot of people thought he got exposed against Kamaru Usman. Short notice, like 3 rounds.
The same story is being said across the board, is that Khamzat falls off, Khamzat's tired, Khamzat gasses. Like, so we can only assume that he's doing, especially because it's a 5-round fight, this fight, is that we can only assume that he's doing everything in his power to come in, you know, efficiently, pace himself, and he's going to be, you know, good for the entire 25 minutes. So I'm expecting a Khamzat that can go 25.
I'm a real big believer in Khamzat. I really am. I think the guy's incredible. But if we're just being critical, first round, I think Khamzat can beat anybody across any weight class. I don't give a shit who it is. Anybody in the world he can beat in the first round. We start getting into 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I mean, the Gilbert Burns fight is kind of a perfect example. If that fight goes another 2 rounds, and Whittaker won't get tired. I think that's my sticking point. If he can do lots of big damage early in the 1st round, 2nd round, and kind of compromise Whittaker early, then, you know, I think he can cruise. But we talked about this a couple weeks ago. If he paces himself early, now he's not the Khamzat that we're used to. He's not as effective. So I don't know. I hate to say it, I lean Whittaker.
Well, if there is a guy that can stop Chimaev, is Robert Whittaker, because if you look at Chimaev, he has we can compare it in a way to Yoel Romero. Romero was a very good wrestler, very explosive and powerful guy, and Whittaker was the kryptonite of Yoel Romero, was able to beat him twice. So stylistically, he's very capable of doing the same to Chimaev, to make Chimaev look bad.
Bro, Whittaker versus Khamzat is legit. That's a real fight. That's a real fight for Khamzat, because Whittaker's a big dude. He's a big, I mean, solid, beefy 185, former champion. You know, both guys started at 170, but they were cut. It was too hard to make the 170. That's a real 185er, as opposed to, like, you know, they gave him Kamaru Usman, and Kamaru didn't have a chance to prepare for that. He had 10 days. I mean, Kamaru, if that was a 5-round fight, who knows how the fuck that fight would have went.
You might think, well, of course Joe Rogan weighed in. Chill, why don't you talk about that all the time? He doesn't always weigh in. Like, that isn't true. Joe does not always comment on fights, even main events. In fact, it's rare. Particularly before the fight, like from a product of I'm the UFC announcer and I'm gonna help sell the fight. Like, nah, that's not really what Joe does. Point being, Joe liked the fight, and that's a really good sign.
Chimaev is a hard fight. He's obviously a big draw, especially over there in Abu Dhabi. He's done the welterweight thing. He's done the middleweight thing. So he's a draw, and I think the UFC story-wise wants to see Chimaev get, you know, a shot at the champion or whatever. They want to see Chimaev like up the top of the ladder. They want to see him in that picture. But I love disrupting their plans. I love derailing their stories, and that's why I took the fight. You know, I asked for the fight.
Yeah, let me preface this by saying this. In the first round, 2 rounds, I'm gonna lean a little bit more towards Chimaev, but I'm not putting Whittaker out of it either, because Chimaev fights very careless. He fights, you know, he fights so reckless. It's very entertaining for the fans. I'm not knocking that, because I enjoy it. I enjoy the shit out of it. When I know he's got a fight coming up, I'm tuning in because I enjoy watching him fight.
That's right.
There's something about him that makes people want to watch him fight. It's his aggressiveness, his carelessness, his recklessness, all those things. The way he talks trash, very Khabib-ish, but Khabib had more respect. But he has, you know, but he's still fun. He's fun to watch fight. I just don't believe that he has been the same since he had COVID. His lungs, I think, are fucked up. I think his conditioning and cardio, sure, he's been fighting at a good pace, but there's no way a guy coming from 170, Kamaru Usman, should have came up and given you that type of fight in the third round and won the third round when you had a full camp. I just believe there's some underlying issues that he just hasn't been able to figure out.
See, that's a great fight for both guys. Robert, he doesn't have the best takedown defense, but he's hard to catch because he has that weird karate style. He always keeps that lead hand low. So if you're Khamzat, he's not going to be one of those guys you're going to be able to go in there and bull rush in the first 2 minutes and let your whole load out. You're going to have to be smart when you fight him, and he's capable of doing it. I'm interested to see how it happens. I mean, right now, if I'm looking at it, I see Robert, he's been taken down by guys like Kelvin Gastelum. He's been taken down by guys like Cannonier. I think if Khamzat gets him down, he'll be able to hold him down. But if it's a 5-rounder, I'm going with Whittaker. 3-rounder, I'm going with Khamzat.
This will be the first 5-round scheduled bout for Khamzat Chimaev, which automatically, if you're in the corner of Khamzat Chimaev, you got to be concerned. One thing Robert Whittaker's not going to do is run out of gas. He's very, very experienced, fighting at the highest level for the long time. Without getting into the X's and O's, the obvious thing is Khamzat always gasses. He's a tremendous force of nature. I mean, the way he takes people down and dominates them right from the opening bell. I mean, he did the same thing against Kamaru Usman. Granted, didn't get the finish, but he definitely did slow down. Against Gilbert Burns, same thing. He had a great round 1, 2 and 3 were kind of close. 5 rounds against somebody like Robert Whittaker. If he can't finish him early, that could be a disastrous night for him.
And Khamzat's gonna do Khamzat. Khamzat's gonna come in there. He's pedal to the metal off start. He's gonna get that takedown or try to get that takedown. Speaking of freaking takedown, we're gonna talk about that. You know, he's gonna come in there and get a takedown, and if you can survive, you might have a chance. But if you can't survive, then I think that's where things go wrong.
I love it. I love it. It's a fantastic fight. Very interesting fight as well. Obviously, you have a guy in Robert Whittaker who is so experienced, who really knows how to manage his energy over the course of 5 rounds for the most part. Former champion and certainly a tremendous gauge as far as skill level and experience to see where Khamzat Chimaev is as a fighter at this stage of his career. So, you know, obviously Khamzat has tremendous power. He has a pace that can tire out a lot of people out there. Does he have the pace? Does he have the experience? Does he have the wrestling to do that to someone like Robert Whittaker? I don't know.
The reality is, it's his first real test against a real middleweight. And he's picking a fight against a really good dude. I think if there's any middleweight that I would say, hey man, avoid, in my eyes, it would be a guy like Robert Whittaker. But he decided he wanted to go that route. So guess what, guys? I'm in on it.
It was like Chimaev is knocking on the doorstep of, or standing on the doorstep of a championship opportunity. For a long time, we thought that Khamzat Chimaev would become a guy that would fight for the UFC championship. He just seemed destined for it. Then he beats Kamaru Usman. Granted, Kamaru's up. It's on short notice. It's very competitive. He wasn't as dominant as you thought, but you knew he wouldn't be because Kamaru is that good. And now he gets Robert Whittaker back-to-back. There could be no denying that he should fight for the championship next.
I look forward to hard fights. I look forward to these fights. And I know that if I beat Chimaev, there is nothing in my way to getting my belt back. And I don't look at the fights and think, oh man, it's too big of a risk. Every fight's a risk.
Yeah.
You know, and I only go into fights because I have the confidence I'm going to beat and smash whoever's ever in front of me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't change with Chimaev.
Basically, they want that. They wanted that, in my opinion. So to give Khamzat a #1 contender shot now after what he's done in terms of like pulling out of all these fights, and Rob's been active, Rob's been improving, Rob's been hungry, he's been at it, and I'm going to put my money on Rob.